Welcome back to Murder, Marriage, Manipulation. Today, we're diving deep into the brutal and calculating world of Cleopatra Thea, a queen whose blood ran thick with ambition and whose hands were never quite clean. Now, I have to admit, friends, I've always had a soft spot for the Seleucid and Ptolemaic dynasties. Maybe it's the endless sibling rivalries, the backstabbing, the treaties that never seem to last. Kind of reminds you of growing up with an older brother or sister, doesn't it? One minute you're building alliances, the next you're at war. But it's not just the family feuds that draw me in, it's the bloodline. A bloodline that, believe it or not, stretches all the way to Mithridates II himself. And today, we're peeling back the layers on Cleopatra Thea's story, a tale of power, betrayal, and survival, where the line between ally and enemy was razor thin. The palace was never quiet, not really, but this time it was different. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was the kind of silence that came before something terrible. Forget what you think you know about queens. Cleopatra Thea wasn't the type to sit in the shadows and play a long game of whispers and smiles. No, she didn't wait for power to come to her. She took it, and if blood had to be spilled, so be it. By the time Cleopatra Thea was done, the Seleucid Empire wasn't just a battlefield, it was a graveyard of kings, and she was the one holding the dagger. Here's a question for you. When does ambition cross the line into madness? Was Cleopatra Thea a genius who outmaneuvered everyone? Or a tyrant who went too far? Stick around, because by the end of this story, you're going to have an opinion. And trust me, it's not going to be a mild one. Alexandria, 164 BCE, a city where power was inherited, but respect had to be earned. Cleopatra Thea was born into the chaos of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a dynasty where survival wasn't guaranteed even if you had royal blood. She didn't learn to scheme by accident, she learned because she had to. Her father, Ptolemy VI Philometor, played politics like a gambler, always betting, always risking. Her mother, Cleopatra II, understood that power was never given, it was taken. But Cleopatra Thea, she wasn't her mother. She wasn't content to play the long game. No, this queen didn't wait for her enemies to move. She moved first. And when she moved, it wasn't just to survive, it was to dominate. By the time she was ready to claim her place, Cleopatra Thea wasn't asking for power, she was demanding it. Her first move? Alexander Balus, the so-called king of the Seleucid Empire, a man who wore the crown but never truly controlled it. Cleopatra Thea saw him for what he was, an opportunity. She didn't marry him out of love, she married him because he was useful, and when his usefulness ran out, well, let's just say Cleopatra Thea wasn't the kind of queen who stayed loyal to a sinking ship. Here's where things get interesting. Some historians will tell you Cleopatra Thea was just a pawn, another queen traded between kings. But let me ask you this. Does a pawn orchestrate the downfall of her own husband? Does a pawn pick her next move before the last one's even hit the ground? Cleopatra Thea wasn't a pawn. She was the one moving the pieces, and she was just getting started. Enter Demetrius II, Nicator. Stronger, more ambitious, but still not strong enough. Cleopatra Thea married him because he could give her something Alexander couldn't. Control, but control, it's a fragile thing. When Demetrius was captured by the Parthians, Cleopatra Thea didn't crumble. She pivoted fast. Her next move, Antiochus VII Sidetes, her own brother-in-law, another king who thought he was marrying a loyal queen. But Cleopatra Thea wasn't loyal to men, she was loyal to power. And when Antiochus died on the battlefield, the throne was hers. Again, Cleopatra Thea didn't just outlast her husbands. She outmaneuvered them, but at what cost? Did she push too far? Or was she simply doing what was necessary in a world where mercy was a weakness? And then there was her son, Antiochus VIII, a king who should have been her greatest triumph. But when he challenged her authority, Cleopatra Thea did the unthinkable. She reached for the poison. And the chilling moment when Antiochus turned the tables, forcing her to drink her own deadly concoction. In the end, Cleopatra Thea's greatest threat wasn't a rival king, it was the blood she had fought so hard to protect. But what did her reign leave behind? Peace, stability? Hardly. Cleopatra Thea's death didn't bring order, it brought chaos. The Seleucid Empire, already fragile, shattered under the weight of her ambition. The question is, was she a monster or was she a mastermind who played the game better than anyone else? Because in the end, sometimes the line between genius and madness is as thin as a blade. But don't go too far, because next week we're leaving the Mediterranean behind and heading to the east, to a dynasty where power wasn't just a birthright, it was a weapon. We're taking a deep dive into China's most devious empress, a woman whose ambition reshaped an empire and left a trail of destruction that still echoes through history. You're not going to want to miss this one. Subscribe for more deep dives into murder, marriage, and manipulation.